to come to look to us is the ability to really help them engage and reach their audience. And it may not be the most sexy approach that really works sometimes, but it has to be the one that derives the result that you want. That's the key element, is a clear discussion about the result, the objective, and what, at the end of the day, when you turn to your friends and tell that this campaign was awesome, what made it awesome? You know, and you know, how do we learn from that to make it even better the next time? Yes, it's right here.
Spanish language sites in the Yahoo network?
Yes.
And does the behavioral learning work within those?
Yes, it does. Yes to both questions.
What about the iPhone apps? Within advertising within the iPhone apps?
Well, we're not, I mean, the mobile technology is rolling out. Yes, there is Spanish-speaking technology. I don't know if we can do BT in Spanish-speaking yet on the mobile platform, but I do know that internally it is being pushed as one of our major initiatives is mobile platform. We're already leading the marketplace in terms of mobile, and we see that as an area where, you know, we don't have to have the Avis complex about stuff, and we can be number one, right? So we're going to go after it pretty hard, and I think that's going to be something in a big area for us. Yes.
I know we touched on rich media. Where's Yahoo going with video?
So video is, I mean, we have a huge video play, and that continues to grow. So we have custom content that's being developed. I don't know if you've ever seen the thread. We work with Procter & Gamble where you can actually do custom video content. Go to fantasy sports, you're seeing a lot of content on video that we're making, and there's pre-roll and post-roll video segments in those areas. So video is certainly growing in a big way. In-banner video is becoming huge. So the technology is there, and we actually have the ability to create or convert almost any 15, 30-second TV spot into a video ad. Yes?
How do Google and Bing's technologies compare in terms of like display advertising?
Get one more from you guys one more time.
How do Google and Bing's display advertising compare what they can do? Like, are they right there, or are they way ahead of the curve?
So that is in the display world, we are the dominant number one by a pretty large margin in the display marketplace. But Bing and MSN and Google they do a lot more content targeting, and you'll see their content. They'll push the content network in a big way. So it's much more about what content they're looking at than what they've done, because to me, that's the big differentiation between us and any of the other engines out there, is that we're not just a search engine. I use the cheesy analogy, we're more of a life engine, because that's where that 1 in 8, that's why you see that 1 in 8 minutes on our network. People come and consume a lot of things on our platform. So it's not that maybe they don't have the technology in order to do that. When you go to Google, you search and leave, right? You don't go and you don't read health articles, you don't fire up Messenger, you don't check finance, you don't, just read your mail, go to news, you do all those things about it that you do on our properties. So I think if they had the audience engagement factor that we had, they potentially had the same type of they could opportunity to leverage it. But their technology isn't there on the targeting elements that we have, and the reason why is that they're looking to get the click and move it on primarily, they've leveraged that pretty well. I would say Google's done pretty well at it. So, but I know our display technology is far superior to really anybody out there. Plus the transparency and what we can report back to you actually happens. So, if you bought inventory from say a value click or a specific media or other areas, what you're doing is you're buying Yahoo inventory. If you look back and actually look at the delivery reports, most of them are going to be on owned and operated. You just paid a premium for it. By doing that. And so the vast majority of that network is allowed, and that content that we do allows us to be much more laser focused, if you like. To use Jerry Yang's favorite word was laser focused, so and helping me find that specific audience. Yes?
Since Yahoo is like and you obviously your users are loyal and they're interacting and engaging with more than one part of the site, and also being exposed to several brands through the content network, do you see brand search keywords more prominent in search queries than category-based terms?
You see a big, I mean, anytime anybody's running a brand, running on the network, running a display, we always see a big lift in their brand queries. That is almost 100% of the time you can guarantee you'll see a big lift in their brand queries. If your question is, do we see on the engine side more brand-related terms and then less, specific long-tail queries? That's not necessarily true. Because we have the same type of search behavior as any other engine does on the search side. The differentiation is more on the volume play on those long tail. So we have just as many people querying on the term, HP laptop as Google does, and competing for that term. Where you see a difference is HP Pavilion 2600 RZ4, they might have 9 people bidding, and competing on them, we might have 2. Right, so that's the big difference. As you start moving down the tail, we see Google having a much bigger query volume in that area, which is why I see performance advertisers love to run campaigns on us, because we do to deliver a lower cost per action in most cases on that. And it's just about volume, it's getting as much of that volume as you can, and then moving the spends over appropriately, because the scale is undeniable in other areas. Yes, sir.
With volume, with like SEO and SEM, clients or prospective clients want to see, their main focus is what can you do for me in Google, but then also you've got the life engine and the decision-making engine, Bing. Any thoughts or anything you can tell us about the thing that Microsoft and Yahoo have joined up, and any plans for the future?
Well, I will be running all of Microsoft. No. Really, the deal is we don't know if it's going to go through. Quite honestly, I think we're probably 6-7 months out to know what that deal looks like, and then probably another year to 18 months out before the platform technologies integrate. So anything I told you would be more speculation. I know that we are, as a company, as a sales force, very excited about what has been written about it, because it gives us additional volume. But how that actually fully plays out is a little bit different. But getting back to your comment about, because I think that's very, 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 9 times out of 10 people feel like they should start everything with Google because that's where all the volume is. But I think a real simple way to think about that, to my point, is if I got 9 people competing for that term on Google and 2 on some of the other engines, the idea would be, if I've got $1,000, Google's got 70%, I'm dropping $700 there. And if Yahoo's got 20%, I'm dropping $200 there. Bing's got 10%, I'm going to drop $100 there. But the reality is, if you could actually get better performance results, doesn't it make more sense to start on the engines that are a little bit less competitive and cap out of that inventory before you move in and start testing things to compete against all the other big boys that are in the Google space? So I think that's a strategy that when it's employed, I've seen it time and again, when it's employed, the clients are trying to max the volume that they can get, and there's no question you have to be on Google. But does it make sense to try to throw everything at it and start off with all your spend there, because that's where the marketplace is? I think you may be shooting yourself in the foot a little bit by doing that a lot.